For this year's Remembrance Day coverage, we have come to downtown Toronto. We are at the Royal Canadian Military Institute. I'm being joined by the Executive Director. Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Our pleasure. Welcome to the Institute.
What a spectacular place. I have never been here before. And I am so glad that we are able to showcase some of the wonderful things that you have here. Coming up, we're going to be showcasing this beautiful library in which we stand. We're going to be talking about some of the medals. We're going to be talking about some of the weaponry. It really is a place to get a great education on what have happened in many wars. Please tell me a little bit about the space.
So the Royal Canadian Military Institute was founded in 1890 by Colonel Otter, who was prominent in the Toronto military community. And at the time, Canada's military was tiny. The permanent force, the regular force, was only about 1,000 people strong. And much of what we had was the militias spread out in communities across the country. And Colonel Otter and his officers realized that war was becoming much more technical.
Of course.
And there was no system in place to teach the officers in modern military technology. So they formed what was initially the Canadian Military Institute, basically as a self-help organization,
right.
Self-teaching.
Yeah.
But they recognized that to keep interest and to support it, it had to also be a sort of club for the officers. So it's still that, but it has morphed with the times in many ways since then. Since the First World War, the Canadian military has had very good training system for officers. So we didn't have that role anymore, but membership ballooned with the First and Second World Wars. And the club has been very active. Or the Institute, it's still operating with a mandate to educate about Canadian military history and current strategic issues. But the membership has gone far beyond the original Army officers, which would have been all male.
Yes.
Now we basically welcome anybody who is interested enough to join.
Yeah.
And we have quite a diverse
Without a
membership.
military background?
No military background required, no
Really?
Officer status required.
Interesting.
But members presumably have enough interest in the military and in supporting this institute to become members.
Of course, and they can come and they can spend time here, and of course you throw lots of different events throughout the year.
We have military history events, we have current affairs events, strategic studies events, and many guest speakers. Last night we had dinner for the Last Post Foundation.
That's wonderful.
And the guest speaker was Admiral Norman,
wow,
who gave an excellent speech to the audience.
So you do have a lot of people from across the country and even probably
around
across
the
the globe that do come here and recognize this space. And I mean, the amount of history that you have in here as a museum and its artifacts, how many pieces do you think you have?
The museum collection is about 13,000 artifacts.
Wow.
And we only have space. I mean, the museum is the decor of our spaces. We only have space for about a third of that, but we gradually rotate displays.
And bring new pieces in, of course, whenever they're donated to you, because a lot of the stuff is graciously donated to you.
We get constant donations, and we have to do a triage of what do we want to keep and what do we want to sell.
And pass on to other places. Well, this building has such a rich history. It is certainly one to explore if you've never done that. It's in downtown Toronto. It's beautiful to check out. I mean, the architecture of this tiny little space that you guys have called home is stunning.
It is. We're very happy with it.
Yeah.
And the space that we have now is new as of 2014 when we moved back into this facility.
Okay, well, we are going to be touring all throughout this facility throughout the day today, so make sure you stay with us. Our Remembrance Day coverage on Morning Live continues. We've now made our way into one of the most beautiful libraries I have ever seen. We are still at the RCMI, being joined by Penny Littman, who is a professional librarian. There are very few of those still left, Penny. There's a lot of people that say that they're librarians, but you are the real deal.
Yeah.
And I know for research purposes, you know, being one of the largest military libraries in Canada, people come in here and they ask you all sorts of questions. So I'm going to put myself in that spot right now. I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, I need information on Kay Christie.
So first we'll go to the catalog and look it up, the catalog that's on the cloud, and see if we can find something.
Okay. And you've got lots of resources and some books in front of you that do involve Kay Christie.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about her.
So Kay Christie, I can't remember what her rank was in the military, but she trained at Toronto Western, I believe. And so she wasn't sent immediately to an arena of war. This is in the Second World War. So at some point, she was sent to Hawaii, and then she was sent to Hong Kong. So she was a nursing sister in Hong Kong at the fall of Hong Kong. And then she was made a prisoner of war of the Japanese and sent to a women's prison camp. So she did all she could to help. And there was an adjoining men's camp as well, so she helped medically as much as she could. And so when the war ended and she came home, eventually she came to the RCMI and she became our first woman on the board of directors. And everybody knew her, and her uniform is downstairs where you come in. So, yeah.
She certainly plays a very significant role.
She was very heroic.
Yes, absolutely.
In a horrible situation, yeah.
Now, I know a lot of women have written not only stories, but poetry and words that were therapeutic to them. You were just recently telling me about a woman who served in Afghanistan who did just that.
So this is, and I had talked to her on the phone, so this is Kanina Dawson. So she's from Ottawa, and she was a young mother, and she went and did 2 back-to-back tours in Afghanistan. And when she came home, she wrote this poetry book called Masham Means Evening, and it was very well received. And it's quite a brutal read, but then
an important one, as you said.
Afghanistan was a brutal place to be, and she helped civilian women too, who were trying to go to university or whatever, who perhaps had acid thrown in their face by people who didn't want women to be educated, this kind of thing. So she came home and wrote this poetry book, and now poetry is seen as a way of dealing with trauma, and we have a lot of military poetry books.
I believe it.
In our collection that we're very proud of. So.
Okay, now I want to showcase this last one because it intrigues me. It has been made into a motion picture that premiered at TIFF.
Sandra Perron was Canada's first female infantry officer. So she wrote this book, this well-received memoir. So she wanted to be this incredible leader of women, and her career didn't turn out to be exactly as she wanted due to discrimination and misogyny, and she was kept from rising in the ranks by different people, even though her commanding officer thought that she was just the best thing.
Right.
So anyway, so now her book has been turned into a motion picture called Outstanding. It was made by a Quebec theater company, movie
production company,
yeah. And it had its world premiere at TIFF this year.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and now it's available on Crave and Netflix and whatever.
Wow.
But it's a well-reviewed movie. Well, to have its world premiere at TIFF, it would have to be a quality movie.
Of course.
And she was there at the premiere too, so that's very nice for her.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for showcasing just a tiny little eye hole of
Well, thank you for coming.
Some of the wonderful things you have in this spectacular library. Harry Potter's got nothing on you. This is a wonderful space. Okay.
And the library's open to the public by appointment, so anybody can come in and use it. They can't borrow, but they can come in and use our
and
resources.
look at it. Okay. Well, thanks again, Penny.
Thank you.
Our Remembrance Day coverage continues right here on Morning Live. Make sure you stay with us. Welcome back to the RCMI. We are now talking about pistols, swords, machine guns, and we've got Gregory Lawton joining us, who is an advisor here at the museum. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. You've got something on display that you're going to showcase, and you're going to show me how it works. Now, a sword, pretty straightforward, right? You pull it out, you use it. But the guns, or pistols, I should say, a little bit of a different story. Tell me a little bit about these.
This is a flintlock rifle, and I'm just going to introduce the technology. The flint, spark, powder bowl inside. You load it. First of all, powder in the pan, you close the pan.
Okay.
You have a ball, gunpowder, and a wad inside. Ready? You fire.
Oh, we've got a little spark there.
So that's the flintlock. So the next thing was percussion, a more dependable way of ignition, a little cap, a nipple, and you loaded it the same way, and you fired it. That was much more dependable than the flint in weather and cold and rain. Then from percussion, you went to a breech action. So they cut away various nations did different things, but for us, we cut away and we had the same percussion action, and you just loaded a bullet in.
Just like that, quicker.
Single shot, and then you went to the magazine fed, and then getting around to machine guns. These are submachine guns.
Wow.
Light machine guns. The famous Thompson from World War II, American.
That's this one?
This one here.
Oh, this one down there, okay.
That's the Sten gun. We made thousands of them in Canada, in Long Branch, Ontario. That was used in the invasion of Normandy, 1st Canadian Parachute Battalion.
Wow. That gun, that exact gun.
That exact gun, yes.
Okay. And huge display.
Yeah.
That people can come, check out, learn about. Can we talk about the swords?
Swords, yes. We have swords, Army, Navy, and Air Force.
Okay.
Basically, the swords here are British, Canadian patterns with Canadian markings, cartouches, maple leaves, beavers, that sort of thing, going back to about the 1820s.
That one looks very regal.
That is a Scottish regiment broadsword. Wow. You see the bow guard is ornamented with scrolls, and it has an inner lining of red velvet.
It does surprise me a little bit how beautifully they are curated for battle.
Yes. Yes, every sword, of course, has a scabbard, and sometimes it has a carrying lanyard, so you don't lose it. This is a cavalry sword, still used today.
Wow.
Blades range from 32 to 35 inches. Bull guard, there's your carrying strap so you don't lose it on your wrist. This one was used in World War I. It's the pattern 1908 sword. The officers have a more ornate pattern 1912 sword. So Governor General's Horse Guards, they ride with this sword.
Wow.
This pattern of sword.
Is it heavy?
This one is marked 1915.
Can I hold it?
Yes.
It is quite heavy. And to have that on your side or on your horse, that would be very difficult.
And you also do the cavalry drill.
Right.
So our swords here can be seen as decor, but it's also a chronological professional collection, going back to about 1820.
Wow. It is really remarkable what you have here. Well, thank you so much for showcasing everything. I know we didn't get a chance to look at the pistols as much, but I'm sure Keith can grab a brief shot of them as we're exiting out. Now, coming up, we're talking about the medals, plus the story of why it is so hard to get veterans of today the Canadian Victoria Cross. All of that coming up with our Remembrance Day coverage continuing on Morning Live.
I'm reading an original citation for the Military Cross, which is dated April 1917, which was awarded to Captain Alfred Hannaford. The citation reads, "For conspicuous gallantry and devotion to duty in an attack at Vimy Ridge on the 9th of April, 1917, with the enemy on 3 sides, he consolidated a position, operating a Lewis gun himself, and maintained himself under heavy fire until relieved."
One of the most rare exhibits that we have here now in the medal room. I'm being joined by professional museum curator Ryan, and this exhibit here is one of the rarest you guys have in the entire building.
Yes, it is. The RCMI has an exceptional military history collection, but this is one of the highlights which is on public display here at the museum. So what we're looking at is the original medal set of Captain Alfred Hannaford, who served from 1915 right until almost a month before the end of the war when he was killed in action. On the far left, you have a military cross by Alfred Hannaford, which was won at Vimy Ridge. The bar on the medal means that he won the medal a second time in 1918. And the wounds that he sustained in that second action ultimately cost him his life.
So he was awarded that after he passed.
That's correct.
That is remarkable. Now, this is World War I
Yes, it
that we're
is.
talking about. Another aspect of this incredible room that you have to see for yourself to see some of the incredible displays of these beautiful, very significant medals is the Victoria Cross. Now, Canada didn't have its own Victoria Cross for a long time,
That's
but
right.
we do now. Why is it so difficult for the Canadian Victoria Cross to be given out? I know there's a lot of controversy with this.
There is, and it's ongoing. It's an excellent question, Emily. So we do have examples here of 2 Canadian Victoria Crosses. One, which is actually the very first Canadian Victoria Cross awarded in the First World War to Captain Edward Ballou. The other is actually one of the most recent Victoria Crosses won by Colonel Frederick Tilston, 1945. It doesn't sound recent to us, but
Not at all.
not at all. But that was the last year a Canadian won the Victoria Cross. Answer your question, why is it so difficult?
Yeah.
A few things. Number one, we're compared to this standard.
Right.
75% of all Canadian Victoria Crosses that have ever been awarded were awarded in a 3-year span. First World War.
Of course.
After that, the next generation. Only 16 were awarded.
Yeah, you can tell that
Right.
the list goes down significantly.
Look at the difference.
Yeah, it's huge.
So now they're compared to this almost mythologized standard of the First World War. 40% of those, 73, killed in action.
Wow.
So if you didn't get killed trying to win it, you're almost barely surviving by the end of the action. So you're compared to this standard. It
The
gets more
criteria
difficult,
is very high.
very high.
Yeah.
But also,
Expectations are through the roof.
they are. But also, the way that we fight wars has changed over time, even compared to the Second World War.
Oh, dramatically.
So Canada's casualties of the First World War are a higher total than all of Canada's other conflicts combined.
Wow.
Okay? We're not sending armies en masse in the field any longer. In modern times, the largest operation that Canada was engaged in Afghanistan, Operation Medusa. About 1,000 individuals involved, about 100 casualties. Significant, but totally incomparable to the First or Second World War, when tens of thousands are in the field.
Okay.
We're talking hundreds of thousands of casualties at times.
So that definitely makes all the difference, and it's a good difference when you think of it in the grand scheme of things. Okay, well, I'm going to keep you, and we're going to go and take a look at some of the First World War displays that you do have here in the Long Bar. We're going to be heading down there to showcase another beautiful spot in the RCMI. So make sure you stay with us. There is so much more Remembrance Day coverage coming up on Morning Live. In the Long Bar now, and I'm being joined by Ryan, who was a curator here at the museum for 10 years. Now we're focusing a little bit more on World War I for this segment. Tell us what we're looking at here.
Yes, thank you, Emily. I was the curator of the RCMI for almost 10 years. This year is an exhibition that I put on for the Centennial in 2018. What we're looking at here is an exhibition with original Canadian First World War artifacts.
It's incredible.
Dedicated to Canada's 100 Days, which was the ultimate Allied offensive, which won the First World War. It spanned from August to November of 1918.
So arguably the most important 100 days.
Absolutely, and it often gets overshadowed by Vimy, by Ypres, by the Somme. But the 100 Days was almost certainly the most important battles won by Canadian soldiers in history. It was also a great time of loss for the Canadian Corps as well. It's the highest casualty rate in the history of the Canadian Army at almost 45,800 in over 3 months of time.
Wow.
So incredible, but they were the spearhead of this Allied offensive. So it was a significant role in the most significant offensive.
Now, as a curator, when you go about putting these displays together, what stands out to you as the most important for someone like myself, who's educated but may not know all of the nitty-gritty details of the First World War? How do you decide what to display and what you think people should take away from this?
Yeah, that's a great question. What I look at is what story can we tell in the space provided, number one. Now, the RCMI has cultivated an amazing First World War collection. It's actually the most complete collection of Canadian First World War uniforms in existence. So as a curator, I love to curate the very best of the collection to showcase the public. If you're going to see 5 or 10 objects, this is what you should see. So in this case, we have a couple highlights. On the far right here, we actually have a Hotchkiss machine gun. To my understanding, there's only about 3 in Canada.
Wow.
And this one was reportedly taken off of a burning tank like the one on the background in 1917.
Wow.
Some of the original cap badges here beside the Hotchkiss gun, you have extremely rare examples. So on the far right of that frame, that's a 2nd Canadian Tank Battalion cap badge. It's the only known example in existence here at the RCMI. So I want to curate the best,
Of course.
the most important objects to tell this story.
Now this pilot.
That's right. So what we have here is a complete look that airmen, Canadian airmen, would have worn during the First World War. You have the leather flying helmet, the goggles, which were made by Triplex, which is kind of like the Oakley of 1917. Splinter proof. Even if they were hit by something in midair, the glass wasn't going to come back into the pilot's eyes. These are highly advanced technology for the time.
For 1917.
For 1917,
And
exactly.
then the jacket.
Exactly, the jacket, and this is one of my areas of specialty is Canadian First World War jackets. You're looking at an original. This was a other ranks coat, so something that was worn by a non-officer in the trenches, worn by the Grenadier Guards. You can see the patches on the side, it's all complete. 4th Canadian Division with the green. It's remarkable with the buttons, the chevrons. It's something that you don't see very often in downtown Toronto.
Well, this is absolutely remarkable. Focusing on Canada's 100 Days, the victory of the Great War. Thank you so much for joining us. The Canadian Rangers, a totally specifically unique organization only in Canada. Mike, what are they?
Canadian Rangers are a really neat and very efficient and important organization in the Canadian Forces. They number about 5,000 personnel. They're recruited from local communities in the remote areas of the country.
Not military necessarily. They're military, but they're not soldiers.
They're part of the armed forces, but they are not trained as soldiers.
Okay.
Because that's not their role.
No.
Their role is to be the eyes and ears in the north, in the remote areas, and to be guides for the Canadian Forces when we go up into that area.
That is so fascinating to me.
And they can help out with search and rescue.
Yeah.
They can help out with any operations that we need up there.
So they're essentially like bodyguards.
Not so much bodyguards, they're the location experts.
Okay.
Because they're largely drawn from hunters, trappers, fishermen, people who know the local area.
Okay.
They're often pictured as all First Nations. There are a lot of First Nations people in the Rangers.
Wonderful.
Probably more than 50%, but it's not a requirement. There are a lot of non-First Nations as well.
You just have to live within those communities that are
You have to live in the
remote.
community, be part of the community.
Yep.
They tend to be well respected in the community. It's seen as a bit of a status
Yeah.
because they have a role to play.
Wow. And they're issued these, you know, I want to say outfits, but they're not. They're almost like
Their uniform
a uniform. Yeah.
consists of the red sweatshirt or jacket top, the red baseball cap. They get issued the CAD-PAD combat pants and combat boots.
And they're
get
given a
issued-
rifle.
They are issued a rifle, and they've got a new rifle in the last few years. Very nice hunting rifle. It's not a military rifle, because as they go out about whatever their activity is
During
in
the
their
day,
area,
in their life, yeah.
that is the rifle they carry
Wow.
for hunting or for whatever they're doing.
That's remarkable.
So they're not a big group, but they have a very important role in the protection and the knowledge about the northern and more remote areas of the country.
And how long has this been an organization for? Since?
So the current organization was created in 1947,
Okay.
probably as a response to developing Cold War, because we can't post military personnel in all the remote areas of the
No.
north. So this is an opportunity to use the people who are already there,
Yeah.
who know the areas,
Yeah.
to bring them in and help them with the armed
Wonderful.
forces.
Well, thank you so much for everything today. It has been such a wonderful educational experience bringing us here.
You're most welcome, and I'm glad that you had the opportunity to visit.
You can get all the information on some of the sites that we visited today in the RCMI on our website at chch.com.